this ghetto sit down that already got the hair on. Never can say goodbye. Ooh, baby. I never can say goodbye. No.
It seems like I'm being playful, but in reality, we're going deep into the science of hair, and today I'm going to give you the inside scoop and explain to you how they've pulled the wool over your eyes with diva cuts. I'm going to show you the real inside scoop and why you should never cut curly hair wet. Now before we get started, let's give our video sponsors XRS Beauty Hair a shout out, because without them this video just simply would not be happening. Their new clear lace is real clear lace. It's undetectable on your skin, honey, and its new clear hairline is much more natural than regular pre-plucked hairlines. They customized this hairline to make it melt directly into the skin perfectly, okay? It came with all of those little gifts you just looked at, and I want you to take a look at this lace. Soon on the screen you will see the difference. Well, soon isn't right now. The difference between our regular transparent lace and the new clear lace. I can't talk and I'm not doing this video voiceover thing over, but look at that. You can barely see that new clear lace, but the transparent lace, we loved it, but look, every year some get better, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh boy just bought Twitter, stuff is going on. So make sure you stick around, because I'm gonna be coming in and out. I'll be talking to you on the camera, and then I'll be talking to you on the screen, just like right now. Look,
On my mama, on my hood, I feel fly. I feel good. A black girl cap. Thank you guys for sending a black girl wig cap. I appreciate it, because especially right now it's the summertime and I'm getting chocolate, like not right here on my face but my leg. Look, wait, yup, that's my color. Don't be a hater, my daddy was dark skinned, so I got dark skin genes, so don't call me light skin. No, I ain't doing ball cap nothing. And I know everybody like, oh, no more got to be glued. That's nice. Got to be using something else. And I got to be using all of these that I already bought. And I also want to note that when y'all be like, oh, no more got to be glue spray, it don't work. It was never, this was never meant to hold wigs. It was just made that way, not made that way. We as black people, as black women, the creative people that we are, figure out that once this actual gel gets tacky, it's able to hold the wig down. But this ain't wig glue, so stop comparing this and saying, oh, that wig glue don't work. This ain't glue. It ain't glue. So I just want the people of America to know, like, granted, black women have the curliest hair, but are we the only race with protein in our hair? No, we are not, guys. So let's stop arguing about that, because black women are not the only women with curly hair.
for more information on this unit, make sure you check all of the links in the description box below. And also within the description box, I also have a couple of my other videos that I did with this brand. As you can see, this lace is magnificent. Okay, it melts directly into the skin, and we don't have to do all that plucking and stuff, because you guys know I have never told you guys that I was maximum lace queen of America. Okay, I'm like, it's not a thing, but this company makes it so so easy. Literally all you need is an adhesive, and once you go ahead and place it directly on the hairline, it melts in with the skin like nobody's business. And for this reason, I decided to go ahead and use this unit to demonstrate to you guys where and how diva cuts were developed, right? Because right now it's still a lot of the craze and a lot of people are still doing it. Just recently, there's one of these beautiful YouTubers that I'm subscribed to, and I remember when she initially started, right? Not initially started on YouTube, but when she went to a hairstylist that cut her hair wet, and she was like, oh yeah, she's so skilled at cutting curly hair wet. And it's like, I don't care how good a cosmetologist is, you do not cut curly hair wet ever, because when you cut curly hair wet, you make it extremely uneven. Diva cuts is something that was developed for women who have naturally straight or wavy hair. For example, this unit that we're dealing with right now is 200% density. It's in 16 inches, right? And it's body wave. So a lot of women who are not necessarily black, right, have wavy hair. And when you have wavy hair, it's wavy hair, it's not curly hair. But there is a way that you can make your wavy hair look like curly hair, and that is simply with using elevation, using a certain technique to cut the hair, right? So whenever you go to cosmetology school, when you learn hair cutting, you learn hair cutting in a lot of different angles. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when you're in cosmetology school, right, if you're in cosmetology school for 2 years, you spend maybe like the first 6-7 months in the classroom, and the rest of the time you're on the floor doing clients, and it's almost like a business, right, for the school. So if you are not really doing your book work, you will forget all of this stuff. Just because the majority of black hairstylists have forgotten how to cut hair or how to cut black hair in the proper ways that you should cut certain textures does not mean that it doesn't matter. All right, so whenever we are talking about hair cutting, right, and if you're a Cosmo that knows this, whether you agree or not, and you have decided to cut curly hair wet or not, this is fact. So whenever you're in cosmetology school, they teach you that you only cut straight hair wet, because straight hair swells when it's dry. And by swelling, I mean it gets bigger, like it gets like bigger and more bodyful, right, when it's dry, versus when it's wet, it's like paper thin, or not paper thin, but it's more stretched and it's a little thinner whenever the hair is wet. Versus naturally curly hair is the opposite, right? It's the exact opposite. So curly hair is stretched when it's dry, and like flat ironed or blow dried or whatever, right? But it swells when it's wet, and you never cut swollen hair. That is the rule in cosmetology school. Just like you don't use like relaxer and other products at the same time, it's just certain stuff you don't do. A rule of thumb in cosmetology school is you never ever cut hair when it's swollen, unless you're trying to get a certain result, right? Unless you're trying to create volume.
So I'm not talking shit. I ain't talking shit. I ain't saying nothing. But I'm trying to get as far away from a baby hair look as possible. But I don't have to say that every time, because y'all know that. Because I say it every time. So I think I'm gonna have a part over here. But I don't know. But what I do know for a definite fact is that I don't want no baby hair. I don't want no sideburns. Not because it's a problem having sideburns, but I don't really have sideburns in real life. So if I'm trying to create the illusion of this being my hair, I want it to mimic how I actually look. And I don't have sideburns. The more water you have prevalent inside of a foam wrap, the more it's gonna cause your lace to lift. Like, that's it, that's all. But I do need you to pay attention to the way that this lace is going to stay in place once I add foam. Now, don't go adding enough foam for all of the saints in church because it's gonna lift. It's because you don't need that much, but just that little bit, right? And that's why y'all be overusing products, because like this one pump is enough for this hairline. Like her products, it should last you. So don't be like, oh, people products too much. No, they're not. Y'all just be using too much of it. So y'all be spending too much money. I never can say goodbye, girl. Oh, no. I never can say goodbye, girl. Ooh, baby. I never can say goodbye. No. Ooh, baby. So I'm not plucking no lace or nothing. I'm just not doing it. You know why? Cause I never can say goodbye, girl. Ooh, baby. I never can say goodbye. Did that ever happen to y'all? Just some random song stuck in your head? That's cause my daddy was an old nigga. Cowboys and girls. I got one for y'all. I remember when I used to play shoot 'em up, bang, bang, baby. And I remember when I chased the girls and beat 'em up. I'm a young boy, but I was just a young boy and not a man. And there are just a few things I understand. Now I know that girls are made for kissing. Heaven knew what I was missing. Some cowboys, the girls, shoot 'em up, bang, bang, up and down, baby. It's ridiculous. He said I was a cowboy's girl. I used to be out there on this bullshit, then I realized women had ass. Oh, y'all got that ass. Oh, I ain't supposed to be pushing them. You supposed to be trying to play us now, Ethel. They your name Ethel, but they used to call you ass Effie back in the day. Don't try to play it. Nah. He was talking about you. Man. Up and down, man. You know my other song, Trifling? Eddie Murphy. Go watch Nutty Professor. And that song he be singing whenever you're in the car, I be stroking. That's what I be doing. Y'all nasty. Don't talk about my generation. That's why I don't care. Nobody say y'all gonna get mad at me for saying this. I don't care. That's why we go grab behind her and be like, I don't remember. She remembered. She really remembered. That's why she was like, hell no, I can't answer that question. I can't tell them what I was doing. You ain't about to play with me. They wasn't singing to themselves. I be stroking. That's what I be doing. Like, hey, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, auntie. Not my auntie. My auntie, especially my mama's sisters, my aunties, some real niggas. On my mama's side of the family, they be like, y'all sure did. Like, y'all problem, sure did. can see, this is where the whole thing diva cuts and all of that came from. Diva cuts started off for women who had naturally wavy hair, because if you have naturally wavy hair, whenever you scrunch your hair, which is what I just did, scrunching the hair is what they would do, and it's a method of manipulating the hydrogen bond. Like I tell you guys all the time, when the hydrogen bond is broken within the hair is waiting for new direction. So right now I'm going to demonstrate. You just watched it, so now I'm going to demonstrate to you what you just saw. This side is actually not finished being scrunched. This is with no product. So imagine if I actually had product as well. This is how women with naturally wavy hair are able to get curls. Scrunching is a way of setting the hydrogen bond in a curled, scrunched state temporarily. The same way that a black woman will, or not just a black woman, the same way that you would roller set your hair, you scrunch your hair, right? So instead of your hair drying around a perm rod, your hair is drying in the midst of this diffuser, and the diffuser isn't going to blow your hair around, right? It's able to dry your hair within this pattern, right? For the most part. You're not worried about losing these curls. So diva cuts came along because, do you see how, you know, because this wig is all the same length, everything is sitting on top of each other. But imagine if right now, while this hair is wet, right? Actually, I'm gonna do it. Imagine if while this hair is wet, I go ahead and cut this hair, it'll give me masterful volume. That is where diva cuts came from. Diva cuts did not start with black women who had naturally curly hair that wanted to find a way to cut their hair while it was wet without straightening their hair. No, this form of cutting the hair and diva cuts came as a way for women with naturally straight or wavy hair to be able to accentuate their curls. And I'm going to prove it to you again. Listen, stop letting people cut your hair wet. Cutting your hair wet is the fastest way for you to get damaged. But I want you to notice how this hair that is predominantly straight, right? It's more stretch when it's wet. Right? It's the most stretched. This hair looks longest when it's wet versus dry, it swells up, because hair that's naturally straight swells when it's dry and it stretches when it's wet, whereas naturally curly hair works the opposite way. Whereas it's going to swell when it's wet, this is stretched wet. Naturally curly hair swells when it's wet. So naturally straight hair, you gonna get an even cut. You will get the most even cut with straight hair, right? With straight hair, you cut straight across here, the most even cut ever. But imagine if I cut this hair on this, it's gonna be uneven and all over the place.
So I hope that, you know, nobody's getting offended or anything like that, but I just really want you guys to pay attention to how this hair looks before I start cutting. Notice that it doesn't have a whole lot of volume or anything like that. And the thing is this, yes, the hair is wet, so it looks a little straighter, but with the naturally curly hair, like with my hair, I don't care how much water is in my hair, it's never gonna look like that unless it's relaxed, right? So this texture is body wave, right? So this is resembling someone who has naturally wavy hair. The woman who created diva cuts, and most of the women that her products are marketed to, even if you look at the pictures that I put on the screen, the women who are on the products, they have naturally wavy hair. And then once they get a diva cut in combination with diva curl products, they are able to resemble curls. Is this because she's created some masterful technique? No, absolutely not. It's because she has a product that helps with scrunching, and scrunching itself helps to reset that hydrogen bond. I talked about that before. I think I said it already in a clip before, but just in case, I'm gonna say it again. I know some people are like, oh my gosh, she's always talking about the hydrogen bond. If you search my name, there's even this little that's like, oh, Sindal fake hair science, because I'm talking about the hydrogen bond. Everything that we do in the hair salon is based around the hydrogen bond in the hair. So if you find somebody that's here on YouTube that tells you that me talking about the hydrogen bond is fake science, I'm gonna show you somebody who's only on YouTube for views and to get your attention, because as a licensed cosmetologist, all you work with is the hydrogen bond. You cannot do hair without well, you can do hair, but as it pertains to silk press, shampooing the hair, prepping the hair, you can't do hair without working with the hydrogen bond. So yeah, right now this is pure and total manipulation of the hydrogen bond. Right now the hydrogen bond is broken and the hair is limp and looking for a direction. But not only is it limp and looking for direction, this is a texture that doesn't have that much protein, because remember I told you guys before that the more protein you have within the hair shaft, the curlier the hair is, right? So this is hair that doesn't have that much protein. So because it's wavier hair and not curly hair, right? Because remember, 4B, 4C, 4A, that's not real. It's made up. Only thing that's real is straight, wavy, curly. That's how we determine curl patterns, right? So when you have naturally wavy hair, you can use certain cutting techniques at certain angles. That's why in cosmetology school they teach us the 45-degree angle. That creates a certain type of volume, 90, 180. All of these different angles of elevation create different amounts of volume or different looks, right? So right now I'm doing a mixture of all of the different forms of elevation, and that's what they do with diva cuts. That's why you don't notice them parting the hair off in 4 sections and going one at a time following a distinct pattern, because there is a vanity metrics. Whenever you are getting a diva cut, they're not cutting your hair based on what's healthiest for your hair, because with curly hair you're only supposed to cut it when it's straight, because you're only supposed to cut hair stretched. And curly hair, if it's curly, it's not stretched. So when they're cutting your hair, they're only cutting your hair for a vanity metric. And that's why you see so many people across social media that at first they'll be like, oh my God, yeah, I went to this stylist and she been cutting my hair wet and it's okay. And they'll argue with you like it's better to cut your hair wet, until they grow their hair out and they like, you know what? I'm tired of wearing my hair curly. I want to have some sovereignty and divinity. I don't have to just have curly hair. I want to wear it straight. I just want to see it. And then they straighten their hair and see that their hair is 100 different lengths. Any cosmetologist that tells you that once you sit in her chair, you'll only be able to wear your hair one way, you should get up. I'm sorry. Because as a cosmetologist, it's your job to make sure that your client is able to move in whatever face they want to put on. So you want to have curly hair, you straight. You want to have straight hair, you good. You want to have wavy hair, you good. But for you to go and get a style or a chemical service and they say, oh, you can never comb your hair again, you can't use combs and brushes no more, it's gonna be cute as long as it stay like that, then you should run, because that's not normal. As a black woman, you're a sovereign being, baby. You can wear your hair curly, straight, wavy, however you want. This puts you in bondage, period.
Just real quick, because I know somebody's granddaughter is talking shit. I just want y'all to know, nobody's trying to play y'all, but we learned how to cut curly hair and how to cut straight hair in cosmetology school. So as you can see, this hair didn't have this much volume before, but from me cutting it the same way that they do the diva cuts, right? And y'all be thinking they doing something extra. They ain't doing nothing extra. They ain't doing shit special. Let me tell you something. So this side has the layers worked out and fluffed out, right? But the ends still have to dry a little bit. I'm gonna scrunch these up a little bit more so y'all can see it at the end is with big hair. But this side and this side are basically the same length. I'm about to take just a smidget off, but this is exactly the same. So I need you to see how, even though you saw me cut it like that, you know how they'll cut your hair wet, right? Because your curls pop out when your hair is wet. But I need you to also remember your hair swells. If you have naturally curly hair, your hair swells whenever it's wet, and their hair swells whenever it's dry, right? So at this point, they've done their diffusing. Their hair is no longer stretched, right? Now their hair is swollen. If you have curly hair, like I said, your hair is swollen when it's wet. When their hair is dry, now it's swollen. So at this point, the curls are swollen. I can see exactly where I need to clip and where I need to take extra hair off, right? To give me a full body, full semi-curly look. Really quick before I finish this side, here is a picture of the woman who created Diva Curls. Look at her curls, and they resemble fluffing a lot. Yeah, scrunching, not fluffing, scrunching a lot. So as you can see, we have fullness here. As you can see, we have fullness here, but we have a small disconnect. So now that the hair is swollen, now I can do something that we call slide cutting, just to even out these curls. Now, sometimes, most of the time when you go to like a Diva Cut salon or anything like that, they're doing certain types of cutting techniques, it looks like. But in reality, that's not what's happening. In reality, they're just mimicking what they do on their hair to your hair. But you're not supposed to cut curly hair that way. All Diva Cuts is them changing and going against what we learn in school, or just what you learn in general, or just the science of hair in general. Like, okay, only cutting hair when it's swollen so it's even, right? So I need you to also keep in mind, because there'll be some people like, oh, well, then they'll have the same problem that we have. No, they don't. Because if you are a person who has naturally curly hair or whatever, and you do all of this chopping and stuff, if you're a person who has naturally straight hair and you do all of this, every time you wash your hair is stretched every time. So cutting their hair like this and it being uneven isn't something that's happening. Why? Because they're cutting their hair while it's stretched, and they're also cutting their hair while it's swollen stage, right? So cutting hair in its swollen stage makes it easier for you to get volume. This is how we would mimic volume. Like, yes, on my channel, all you see, yes, on my channel, the majority of what you see is black women, but y'all, we learn how to do everybody's hair in cosmetology school. In cosmetology school, you actually don't learn black hair. You learn how to do other races. So that's why when Diva Cuts came out, most cosmetologists that love black hair was like, no, y'all, wait. Diva Cuts, they just, everything that they told us never to do to black hair, they just like, forget what they taught us in school. Do it like this. But at the end of the day, this is created to give the illusion of volume. Because the more I cut, when this hair is in its stretched state, when in its swollen state, the more I cut it, the more it is going to resemble fullness, because cutting hair naturally, straight hair wet, is giving hair volume. This is hair in its stretched state, right? In its swollen state. I'm sorry.
So I really hope this makes sense, you guys. I'm not trying to poop on nobody's shoes. I ain't trying to, you know, fart in nobody's chicken coop. I ain't trying to do none of that. But I do need everybody to stop arguing over things that they don't have the facts about, because diva cuts, diva curl, that was not created by or for black women. It was not. That's why they don't even spell diva the same way we spell it. We spell diva D-I-V-A. They spell it D-E-V-A. That's how, like, girl, it wasn't created by us or for us. It is not a FUBU brand, okay? It's just not. But I will say that I absolutely love scrunching. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the cutting technique if it's used on wavy hair. But curly hair, no. The diva cut technique should never be used on curly hair. Why? You only cut hair when it is stretched, okay? And when they cut their hair like this, it's not a big deal, because when their hair is wet, it's stretched all the way, and then as it dries, they can shape those curls. And guess what? When they wash their hair the next day, anywhere that's drastically uneven, they can fix it that day. And then when they get home, I mean the next day when they go to dry it again, it's perfect and their hair isn't uneven. But if you have curly hair and it's cut like that, you don't have that same luxury, boo, because when you wash your hair, it's going to get even curlier than it was when you was at the shop. So you're just going to be walking around with uneven hair for months, and then they get you to come back. They're like, oh, you need to come back in 10 weeks for a trim. So then they'll cut it again wet. So every time you come back, they give you a choppier and even more choppier haircut, because your hair is being cut curly. She can't see the last line of demarcation that she made. There's no way for her to see it. So she's literally cutting your hair. She might as well cut your hair with a blindfold. If you have naturally curly hair and you let somebody cut your hair wet, you might as well let somebody cut your hair with a blindfold on, because it's the same thing. I love you guys so much. I know that this is sometimes a hard pill to swallow, but you know, follow the fads that make sense for you. Don't just follow fads just because they're number one. I am so in love with this unit, you guys. It helped me to demonstrate this so very well, so easily, but also it is absolutely beautiful. In a video coming really soon, I'm going to show you guys how it looks straight, because this is one that you're actually going to see in a couple of videos that I have coming up that don't have anything to do with units or anything like that. But it was that cute that I decided to go ahead and film a video in this. So make sure you stay tuned, you guys. Love you so much.
Because I do look kind of cute and like natural and stuff, like, oh, glistening. Just kidding. So lastly, don't get mad when I say this, right? Just don't get mad. But when I was standing behind a chair, this used to be one of the services that my clients would love. I did hair. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, right? So all of my clients were not black. Like 60-40. About 60% of my clients were black, and the rest of my clients were so many different races, because it's Vegas and everybody wanted to go. Like, girl, y'all would be so surprised how many people was getting weave. I have clients all the time that came in with naturally straight hair, and they would be like, oh my god, Sen, like, seriously, I want to tell you something, but like, I don't want to offend you. And I would be like, girl, what's wrong? I would be like, okay, so like, I don't want to say this too loud. I don't want to be disrespectful, but like, my hair is so freaking flat. It's like so thin. It's like paper freaking thin. So do you think that maybe you could, like, I don't know, do something to like thicken it up? You know, maybe give me some layers that add a little bit of volume, you know what I mean? So it'll fluff up, because when it's wet, it's just like flat. It's just on my head, like blah. Do you think you can help?